And more on that Israel U.S. dynamic. Knesset members have approved a $15 billion arms deal with the United States, set to include a squadron of advanced F-35 fighter jets. The package also reportedly includes components for the Arrow missile system and the Iron Dome defense system. This would be the first foreign military sale to Israel announced under the new administration of President Biden, but the deal was likely initially laid out during the Trump administration. Now, joining me now with more is political analyst, American foreign policy expert, and professor at the State University of New York Maritime College, Mark Meirowitz. Thank you so much for joining me today, sir.
What a pleasure.
So the deal was announced by the Biden administration, but likely dates back to the Trump administration, as I just said. Is this a trend we're going to continue to see Biden sort of latching on to policy created by Trump, or will his stance on Israel specifically begin to shift?
I don't see the shift there because the long-standing relationship between Israel and the United States in terms of arms sales is rock solid and furthermore has total support in both houses of Congress. So I think this is really a continuation of the great relationship and the great support the United States and its people have for the state of Israel. Where you'll see some shifts might be on the Palestinian policy and also the regional policy in terms of the deal with the UAE, which has been the UAE-Israel Abraham Accords has a component of F-35s being supplied to the UAE, and there's opposition in the Senate.
Right.
And
this
maybe
has been
a consternation in Israel.
It's been an extremely contentious issue with the F-35 having to do specifically with sales to the UAE. So where do we stand on that right now?
I mean, I'll give you my prediction in a minute. I think the deal is in trouble, at least imminently. I don't think that deal is going to happen very soon. I think if you listen to Anthony Blinken, the new Secretary of State, in his testimony in Congress, he said that America is going to take a hard look at the deal. Why is that? Because the concern is, first of all, the quantitative military edge that Israel has must be preserved. And furthermore, there is concern. Look, Biden has paused the F-35 to UAE. He has paused or stopped the deal with Saudi Arabia. Why is that? Because of Yemen. But the UAE also has other interactions in Libya. And this is Biden's concern, is to halt such sales, and also the concern that giving the F-35 to the UAE could mean the American technology slipping out to Russia and to China, which is very, very dangerous. My prediction, I believe, and this would be, I think, in terms of Israel, if you think about it, when President Trump proposed this deal, there was some consternation and some conflict in terms of Benny Gantz and others in Israel saying they didn't like the deal. Trump made the deal, and that was the glue that put the Abraham Accords together. Right now, there's a new administration in town. They're looking at this deal very carefully. The Saudi deal, they've actually put on hold. Maybe it's not going to happen. I think that's where the shift is going to be. Now, the other possibility is to have the United States give a more modified F-35 to the UAE and allow Israel to modify and get certain super technology that can always preserve its quantitative, qualitative military edge at all times. This is pivotal. So I think this step is going to be delayed. And I think that is going to help Israel to do modifications and do things with the United States that it needs to do to preserve its own security.
All right, some really interesting shifts going on in the Middle East. Thank you so much, Mark Meirowitz.
My pleasure.